Hello, Brian Scott-Smith here for World Risk and Insurance News. Each month on RIN TV, ACORD's Tech Talk provides insights into the world of technology and how it is affecting risk and insurance professionals. Here now is the latest Tech Talk.
Thanks. Joining me today is Bill Hartnett. He is the president of Hartnett Advisors. Hi, Bill. How are you?
How are you doing, Johnell?
I'm doing well. It's great to have you. It's great to see you as always.
Good to be with you.
Yep. A lot of good information when it comes to technology. So today we're going to talk about virtual reality and how it impacts the insurance industry. Let's start off with talking about exactly what is virtual reality.
Well, it's interesting. It's been in the news a lot recently, and it's a combination of what you call virtual reality and then augmented reality, which is a little bit different, but they're very similar. So the most of the talk about this over the last couple of years has been about Google Glass and how that has the capability of really changing the way people interact with their machines and with the physical world. Unfortunately, there was kind of an early version of that where all the focus was on the ability to record people while you're talking to them, and there's a whole privacy discussion around that, which I think is starting to go away because that was really one of the least interesting features of Google Glass. It was the ability to actually have a lot of this information directly in front of your eyes, no matter where you were and no matter what you were doing, right? But what's happened since then there's been some interesting developments. So there's a company called Oculus Rift that Facebook bought. And Oculus Rift has this virtual reality headset you kind of wear. It's a computer you wear on your face, right? And it's mostly oriented toward gaming. But there's been some interesting applications people are talking about for doing like building walkthroughs or being able to feed data into it from different places. The one drawback to that, at least right now in some of the prototypes, is people get a little motion sick when they're wearing it. So that hasn't been a great thing, right? And a lot of these they seem like they're kind of very Star Trek-ish and they're very video game oriented, which is a pretty fair criticism of them. But Microsoft actually just came with something very interesting. It's called HoloLens. So it's almost like a holographic generator. It's a pair of glasses, and it looks a little bit like a cross between an Oculus Rift and the Google Glass. But the Microsoft one doesn't record anything. It just basically puts different things in your field of vision, almost like a heads-up display in a car. So, and it's in 3D. So you can, for instance, if you're a designer, you can, using some tools that come with it, you can build a model using your hands, and it like focuses wherever your eyes go. So you're completely interacting with your computer, which is you're wearing on your face, without any other interaction except your eyes.
Right. Now let me ask
you,
because that all sounds great, but I know one of the things or issues, at least for me personally, with the Google Glass and so many other things, is you don't want all of that on your face. How have they addressed that, or how do you see them addressing that down the road?
I think that's going to be an evolution. So I think the early adoption of things like Oculus or HoloLens or even the Google Glass is going to be for specialized occupations. So for instance, one of the things that if you look at one of the demos, if you go online and search for HoloLens, you'll see it being used in like a surgery setting, right? So if you're a doctor and you're trying to operate on somebody, you can actually look at a 3D image of the heart, the actual patient's heart that you just ran through the CAT scan as you're doing the operation, and you can rotate it around, you can kind of look, and so you can have this augmented view of the patient you're operating on and improve the outcome. And I mentioned the designer aspect of this as well, where people can use this to build 3D models and actually walk around the model that you're building. And the other interesting part about that is you can then send those 3D models to a 3D printer and actually print out a prototype. So doing rapid prototyping and just being able to build even art pieces and have them printed out is just going to revolutionize a lot of the way people do design work. And then the 3D printing market is actually a whole interesting thing all by itself. So,
Now you said it's going to revolutionize design, but how will it change the insurance industry?
Well, if you look at some of the augmented reality aspects of that, being able for whether it's an adjuster or an engineer or somebody to go out in the field to be able to call up information about the building they're looking at, for instance, and figure out, what fire district's in. You can actually pull this stuff next to it while you're going around, taking your photographs or whatever you're doing through the engineering or the claim adjustment work. And you can get all kinds of information about who the tenants are, what premiums even they're paying, what the exposures are, how many people work in the building, who the people are who work in the building. It could be a very, very interesting way to bring information to the practitioner on site. Same thing for sales. Now, it's really unknown how they'll affect industries like insurance right now because it's so new, but one thing we've learned is all these new technologies affect insurance in one way or another, right?
So absolutely. Now, you were talking about change is coming, but sometimes the insurance industry isn't as quick to adopt that change. Do you see the insurance industry kind of, taking hold of this and running away with it, or do you still see the insurance industry kind of taking a wait-and-see approach?
Well, I think it'll be a little of both. I mean, there'll be some of the companies who just say, well, let's wait and see how this works. But I think there will be the innovative companies that grab onto it and say, I think there's an interesting application for this, right? Mm-hmm. So, we talked about 3D printing a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. 3D printing is being used now to build entire cars. Like in a day and a half, there's a demonstration project I saw recently where you can 3D print a car, wow, roll it out of the device. These are big printers, by the way, mm-hmm, and drive it. You can drive it away. I mean, it's amazing, right?
How safe is that?
Very safe, actually.
Right, yeah.
And that's the other interesting thing. The materials can be built that are very strong, mm-hmm, but very lightweight.
Right.
And another aspect or another use of 3D printing is to actually print buildings. They have these mammoth 3D printers that print buildings from a design that an architect drew. And it includes the plumbing, and the wiring and everything is all built into this. And in places like disaster recovery areas, for instance, after a Katrina, when you had to put up housing quickly to build new buildings on site for a disaster recovery situation, and get housing for people very quickly. So I think it's kind of that's something the insurance industry could get their arms around pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah. So it kind of sounds like Star Trek is here.
Absolutely. It would be like having a replicator from Star Trek in your house. Mm-hmm. It would be pretty interesting.
That's amazing. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing all of those things come to reality and even in everyday life. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
You're welcome.
And back to you.
If you'd like more information on the technologies shaping the insurance industry, visit the ACORD website. And make sure to join us next month for another edition of Tech Talk right here on RIN TV.